he has like separation anxiety because basically he went to work on Tuesday and never went home again for 14 years or 12 years, 12 years, 12 years.
Hello, welcome to That CMS Guy. We're talking to Peter. We met at the falsely accused day, which was September time?
Yeah.
And I wanted to talk to you then, but it was such a busy day that we didn't really have an opportunity to catch up. But we did swap details.
We did.
And I believe that this is a very important interview. But let's just start with you. How did you get to go to the falsely accused day, and what led you there?
I think about 2013, whilst I was serving this prison sentence, I contacted FASO, which is a false allegation support organisation.
Yeah.
I was housed on the Isle of Wight, and they had two people on the Isle of Wight, Bobby and Tessa. They used to come and visit me. Obviously, at certain points, you get moved around, but we stayed in contact on the phone and letters and things like that. And they'd make the occasional visits. But from that, obviously, I met a woman called Margaret Gardner, who is the sort of owner, if you like, of FASO. And she sends me paperwork every now and then and get the odd text message. When I got out, I joined Twitter, went on the false allegation pages and stuff and started putting myself out there. And then it started popping up, we've got a false allegation day. And we were supposed to go the year before, but unfortunately, Madge left us.
Yeah. So
they got cancelled. So we sort of, when's the next one? And we've been keeping on checking out. Right. And then obviously when it came up, it's just, right, I made sure it was a Saturday, I wasn't working. Yeah. We took plenty of time to plan our travel and everything, and we got up there, and it was a lovely day. We enjoyed ourselves.
Yeah, wow.
We did obviously we met yourselves, we met some other people. I got to meet Margaret again. She was absolutely
wonderful,
ecstatic and over the moon, because I think she'd thought I'd fell off the planet or something. But yeah, so that's basically how we ended up there. It was a sort of long explanation for a short answer, I guess. But
no, that's fine. So obviously it's falsely accused day.
Yeah.
And you felt that there was a real need for you to be there. But
yeah.
But what happened to you? Can't stand in front of the camera, love. You got to be behind there at all times. Behind the lighting, behind the cameras.
I want you to kind of
yeah. Right.
Could you get ready?
Right, let's start in. So so you're at the falsely accused day.
Yeah.
You're there for a reason. It's obviously very important to you. So now tell us a little bit about, what happened to you.
What happened was I suppose really we need to start from the beginning of everything.
Yeah.
I got together with a woman that had a child in 1999. The end of that year, she moved in. I don't remember having that discussion, but her father made her redundant. She couldn't keep her house, and he was like, "Oh, we spoke about this," and she moved in. I was like, "Okay." The child was a small 4 or 5 year old girl who was not the best behaved on the planet.
What do you mean not the best behaved? Can you talk about that a bit further? Or?
Disruptive, rude, would deliberately break things, would kick the cats, right on the walls and blame the cats, pick her nose, wipe it on the walls, blame the cats.
Right. So was there any kind of diagnosis for her?
No, there was no diagnosis or anything. It was just because my in-laws, as they turned into be, were sort of, they ran the family. You did what they said, or you were outside of the circle.
Right.
I was never in the circle, which I'm kind of pleased about. But as far as they were concerned, she could do whatever she wanted. She was just finding her feet.
So there was no boundaries for them.
No boundaries at all.
And how did you navigate that?
With great difficulty, I think. I'll probably say I am quite a disciplined person. I do have a little bit of OCD, so I'm a little bit of a neat freak.
Yeah.
So things go back where they came from. Yeah. Not like here where they just get left randomly anywhere.
Yeah. Because you're a mechanic, aren't you?
I am. Yes. I had my toolbox. I spent far too much money on my tools. I had all the special drawer liners made, so everything had its little spot and it was foam, so it would rattle around in there. Yeah, I 45 grand's worth in total, I think.
Wow.
Yeah.
So did you have your own business at this time then?
No, I worked for a dealership network.
Yeah.
At that point. It was for an MG Rover dealer. And when they shut that side down, I went to the Land Rover side of the business. Because it's all the same knowledge, the same technology and so on. And then from there, we had a slight disagreement between myself and one of the management.
What was this disagreement about?
I found out he was having an affair,
right,
and basically called him on it. And then miraculously, I was dismissed for doing private.
Dismissed for calling him out on?
No, I was dismissed for doing private work on my own car. Yeah. It was clearly a manufactured thing, because the day before the tribunal was to happen, they paid me £15,500,
right,
to stop me going into court, right. Which was great, because at that time we just started to sort of get together everything to set up a business of our own, with support from my father-in-law, but that's because he had stopped us going to Canada. In 2003, I was offered a job.
Stopped you from going to Canada with your wife at the time?
Yeah.
Why were you going to get to Canada?
I got offered 2 jobs out there for Land Rover. And they were going to pay me 6-figure salary, give me a company car,
nice,
all the rest of it.
So you're all set to go to Canada?
Oh, yeah.
Found the property out there, got everything lined up?
I'd spoken with a friend of mine that worked at Land Rover in their technical department, and he'd arranged for Land Rover to, essentially, if we were going to go, they were going to pay my moving costs, because I was that well regarded, I guess.
Yeah. So you're a very, very good mechanic.
I'm all
right.
Yeah.
It's like
one doesn't like to blow one's trumpet.
No. Obviously, you're being offered very lucrative business deals or business opportunities abroad. So you must be good at what you do.
I'm very good with Land Rovers.
Yeah.
Because we didn't go, I met the manager of the technical department, a guy called Steve, on a training course. And within weeks, they were offering me a job in Land Rover in this country. But it would have meant moving to Coventry. Not too much of an issue. Father-in-law once again got involved. Threats were made, and we didn't go. None of them take the job.
Threats were made.
Yeah, I was going to lose a kneecap. He tried to pay me to leave my wife.
So let's linger on that a bit. What do you mean threats, and why was he threatening you?
Because he wasn't in control.
What? He wasn't in control?
Yeah.
In control of what exactly?
Me.
You need to make sure that you're not in camera. You need to be behind the camera and behind the light. Okay. So you were
he wasn't in control of me because I've got my own mind.
Yeah. So you're in this marriage, and it's a marriage that you're seeing that is very very organized by like an alpha male figure who seems to be in control of the family. You're obviously trying to do your best to provide for the family. You're doing very well in terms of Land Rover offering you different opportunities abroad, but then he's threatening you. Can you talk about that a bit more?
Yeah, I mean, the threats were, I'll make sure that I go for custody of the grandchild, and, I'll disown her and disinherit her, all of these sort of things. So he used the emotional blackmail of his own daughter for her to then emotionally blackmail me not to take the job.
I don't really understand how we're talking about grandchildren and stuff. How are we getting there? How's he threatening you with all of that then?
He's turning around to his daughter and he's saying, I will go for custody of my own granddaughter if you go.
Right.
So, she's saying, well, that's my daughter.
Yeah.
He's saying, yes, but you're not going. And there's threats made. There's stuff that's been said that I don't know about.
Right.
I can guarantee that. And as I've explained to Justine, there were times I'd get home and he'd been round, and my wife standing there with bruises, and it's like, how'd you get that? I walked into the door. Then after a while, when you look at it, after the situation that had occurred for me,
yeah,
you suddenly realise, hang on, it's a bruise there. That's where you get held, and that's where your thumb's pushing in.
So you're suggesting that he was doing this?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I have absolutely no doubt he's the person that probably used my stepdaughter.
Right. So how long were you married to your ex?
It was 10 years in total.
And when did you get married?
2001.
And when did it end?
2014, I think. So I'd actually been in custody for 4 years before my divorce came through.
Right. So talk to me about your relationship with your ex. How was that generally?
I think really it ended up just being sort of a marriage of convenience, if I'm honest with you. Right. She cooked, I provided the money. That's exactly how it felt. After I was removed from it all, obviously you sort of end up crashing a lot emotionally and physically.
Well, just because of the sheer nature of work, or
no, because of the sheer nature of the fact that suddenly you've been arrested and put in prison for something you haven't done, and you don't know what weighs up and what weighs down.
So we'll get there to you being arrested, and that's obviously going to be really important that you share that. But how did you get there? Let's talk about how did it lead to being falsely accused in prison?
In the January of 2010. My in-laws were constantly at each other's throats. Mother-in-law was a sort of hyacinth bouquet type woman.
So it was like a partnership. They were both quite controlling them.
Oh, very much so. Very much so. She used an awful lot of emotional blackmail, and he just used
on you?
No, on the ex-wife.
Your ex-wife.
And he just used threats. And like I say, I mean, at that time I was 18 and a half stone playing rugby and threatened me all day long. Don't give a monkeys.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? Yeah. Slap me, I'll just stand there and look at you, laugh and walk off.
Yeah.
Makes no never mind. I still have that mentality now. If you want to threaten me, crack on.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things I found quite extraordinary about you. The fact that you have gone through all of this, and yet your attitude seems it's still so stoic. But we'll get there.
The thing there is, as soon as you resort to any kind of violence, you're no better than the person you're against. So it's kind of like a moral thing of I'm so much better than you.
So I'm interested in how. So you were married to your ex for how long was it?
About 10. Well, 2001, got arrested 2010, the divorce came through about 2014, so about 12, 13.
And you started to see that there's something wrong in the dynamic between your mother and father-in-law and how they are managing the family.
Yeah.
You're just an individual who's, just working and plodding along.
Yeah.
So what do you do when you start realizing that things are starting to go a little bit pear-shaped and you're seeing that your ex-wife has got bruises on her arms? And
well, at that point, obviously, I didn't assume that it was him putting those bruises there. She was somewhat slightly clumsy. So, you sort of say, oh, you've got a bruise on your thigh, you know. Oh yeah, I walked into the breakfast bar. Okay, stupid thing to do, isn't it? But then she was only 5'2", 5'3".
Right.
So the breakfast bar comes up just above her ribs. You know, it's just like, but it's only after you're away from that whole situation, you're sat in a room on your own, and you're like, hang on a minute. Things suddenly, the penny starts dropping because you're now away from it all.
Yeah.
You can start thinking about what's gone on in the past, trying to piece together.
But at the time,
I get here.
But at the time, you just accepted it as it was.
Yeah.
You didn't think to yourself, "Hold on a minute, this isn't right."
No, and I guess because you're trying to trust and believe that person that you're married to.
Yeah, which is a very natural thing.
You know, and you also don't want to think that, you know, if she turns around and says, "Oh, Dad come round and he gave me a pasting," because as soon as she says that, there's only one thing that's going to happen.
Yeah.
You know, get in the car, go around there and give him a good pasting.
Yeah, call the police.
Yeah. And I guess in a way that's not really the right way to go about it. So,
No, and then actually what you're saying is there's something that my wife and I were talking about on the way up here. You know, when you get married, you don't expect that you're marrying into what seems to be what is a dysfunctional.
Oh Christ, yeah, incredibly.
You just don't expect it, do you? So when you're dealing with it, you're just trying to manage yourself and the situation in the best way that you possibly can.
Yeah, I mean there are other occasions. She's got a sister. Her sister worked for the father's business and was sacked because she was useless. And he told her to go on the DWP, whatever it was back then, and just live off of that.
Also, like benefits.
Yeah, because she'll never amount to anything. And that was his words. You'll never amount to anything. You don't do that to your own kids. You know, you try and support them, and even if they're the dumbest idiot on the planet, you still try and push them forward.
Yeah.
You know, there were times with the ex-wife that he would belittle her so badly, and she'd be in tears, and she'd be like, "What the burn that for?" You know, even to the point of when we had the business, he threatened to dismiss her from the business because she was doing the accounts wrong. When the accountant came in, she was doing nothing wrong.
So did you challenge him on this?
I mean, wasn't allowed to.
By your ex-wife?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So talk to me about did you argue with your ex-wife?
I can count on one hand how many times we argued in all our time.
Right. And how many times was that?
Less than twice.
Why was that then?
I don't like arguments.
You don't argue.
I don't like arguments. It's just one of those things.
Just refuse to argue.
Yeah.
So he wasn't.
If a situation gets tense and stressful, I'll just go, right, I'll tell you what, I'm off. I'll just go out. And you take that break away, 10 minutes, might be half hour, might be the whole day. Yeah. But then when you come home, you walk through the door and it's like, I'm so sorry about earlier.
Yeah, yeah.
Cuddle time, cup of tea, beer, wine, whatever.
Sounds reasonable to me.
Relax.
That sounds like a normal sort of response to like conflict and stress.
You don't sit there and shout and bawl at each other for nothing, really. Because it doesn't resolve anything. And if anything, it just makes things worse.
Yeah, that's true.
Madam's nodding.
No, we didn't even argue on the way up yet.
Wow.
So when did things start to really heat up for you then? And what sort of year? What years was this? From?
I mean, he'd always been difficult to deal with from the first moment I met him.
You just got a sense,
and I actually met him before I met her.
Did you get like a set? Did you get like a red, what we would call a red flag? Like, well, this guy is something off here.
Not initially. I think the first, year or so that we were together, he was reasonably amiable. And then obviously when we got married and we spoke about the one day, maybe emigrating, just exploded into all kinds of shit. But
No, it's right. Are you suggesting that he didn't confront you then?
oh yeah, well, I mean we got married in Canada. I mentioned whilst I was there, because my family is from there, and I said one day I'd like to bring my family home. Yeah. That's all I said. And I wasn't allowed to see them for 2.5 years because I was the worst person on the planet. I was scum, I was this, I was that. But the day after I said that, we had a meeting at their hotel, and the reception staff had to call the police because he stood up and he was going to thump me and beat me up and chase me. And I just stood there and just held on to him and said, throw your punch, it'll be the last thing you ever do.
So somebody's
because out there, they don't really do conflict. It was like the police turned up, so I said, well, what's going on? And it was a very brief explanation. They went, well, just calm down, and off they went, which was great. But it was, for me, it was more the fact that he stood up, he grabbed me by the throat. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. It's just like, stop it.
Well, how did you feel about that then?
I was embarrassed that I let myself get to that point.
I think I would be. I mean, if somebody's doing that to you, you feel like, if it was me, I'd feel like, what do I do? Do I get as aggressive, or do I just passively, or do I say something? What's going on for you?
I suppose in a way, apart from the sort of go on, throw your first punch, it'll be the last thing you ever do. Inside, I was laughing. Because it was just like, are you sure you're trying to grab hold of a 18.5 stone rugby player and beat him up?
You're not 18 stone now, though.
I'm not now, no.
I'm probably close to it.
I'm still quite heavy for the fact that I'm not playing the rugby. But I think part of that's the density of the bones.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I like to. I'm big boned.
Yes,
sir. I'm big boned. Yeah. So he's being very physical with you, very openly aggressive, and obviously, for any man out there, that's quite an affront, isn't it? Really,
it is. But like I say,
so what did you do? What was what was going on in your marriage and in the family after that?
Well, like I say, I mean, for 2.5 years, nearly 3. I wasn't even allowed to see them. If they came round to the bungalow, I had to go out.
Right.
At Christmas time, I went to my parents, she went to her parents.
Right.
And then after about 2.5, 3 years, she sort of turned around to everybody and went, this is bloody stupid. You can't live a life like this.
Right.
And they had to agree, because I was like, I don't care. If they want to see me, great. If they don't, not bothered.
It was very...
and she had to convince them to accept me back, because I was her husband and so on and so forth, and they sort of reluctantly did. But it was never a situation where you felt comfortable. You go around and it's like, what bollocks am I going to listen to today? And that's exactly what would go through my mind. What? No. And she'd be, oh, I don't know.
So you just got this ongoing undercurrent of conflict, unresolved hostility, which meant that it was really affecting your family life and being able to relate to the family, have family events, and being more or less moved out of your house when they arrived.
Yeah, I mean there were times I'd get home from work and I'd just sit in the car on the driveway for 10 minutes. Because I didn't want to go indoors because of what I might be walking into.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on in there. You've got them two arguing with each other because she's now growing up and things are changing and hormones are changing and stuff.
Yeah.
She's obviously got because mum and dad have been on the phone or they've been round or whatever. She's like, do I really want to go in there?
I think I'd feel the same way. I'd be like, I don't want to deal with this. This is too much. I've got too much on my
Yeah. And when we started the business, I guess it was probably worse because he was involved. And I think that the worst part about that is he had run his own businesses, so therefore he knew how to run a motor trade workshop. Didn't have a clue.
Right.
And from that, this is where some of the arguments came from. This is where he had a threatened her.
He wanted to tell you how to do things.
Yeah. Told me I was doing things wrong because we had a 52% profit margin.
Right.
And no business runs at 52% profit margin. Yet the accountant came in and went, yeah, that's been all right. Well, of course it's right, because I buy the right stuff in the right places at the right cost. I've got a markup on it of 75% on some of the parts.
And different businesses have what?
Exactly.
Different profit margins.
Yes. Yeah. Your labour charge is your labour charge. Well, I'm paying myself now, so I can charge what I like. He was in control of how much money I earned a month.
Really?
Which I found really, really interesting.
Yeah.
I wasn't allowed to earn any more than £660 a month.
Right. So he's in control of how much you earn.
Yeah. And it's like, hang on a minute. I had a job at dealership. I was on, at that time, nearly 40 grand a year.
Yeah.
To under 7 grand in a year, because we're running our own business. But it's because he wanted to be in control. If you wanted anything, you had to go and ask.
Right. So at this point, are you asking questions about things?
No, I started doing jobs for cash
on the side.
Yeah. So, it just be, and some couple of our customers, all fairness, they'd pay in cash. They wanted to pay in cash, so you can then, not rightly so, but you can alter the invoice so the company still makes money and you put some money in your pocket.
Right.
So you're still able to go out and have a takeaway or go to the cinema or whatever without having to turn around and go, oh, father-in-law, can we have £50, please?
So he wanted to be really the nucleus.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
So any decision that was being made, he wanted to be directly involved in that. Yeah. And that was obviously, I'm guessing, having an impact upon your marriage.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, we essentially, we slept in the same bed, but nothing ever happened. There was no...
Was she somebody that you would say it was? Because it sounds to me that we're talking about a family where either one or both of the mother and father-in-law had some form of personality disorder or mental health condition. Did your ex-wife have something like that going on? I do not want to say.
I don't think she did.
Do you feel that she was like a victimized person within that?
Yeah. There's a saying, isn't there, that the abused become the abusers.
Right.
He had confided in conversations that as a youngster, he was beaten by his parents and so on and so forth.
Right.
With some of the conversations that I'd had with Alina and so on, that he'd beaten her, he'd thrown her against walls, done the same to her sister.
So that's your ex-wife. That's her name, is it?
Yeah,
Alina.
If you already did that.
We already did that.
I suddenly realised.
But it's okay. If anything that you want out, let me know and I'll make sure that her name is.
Yeah,
no problem. Yeah, it's just.
So it's. There's lots of stuff now when you've got that time to sit down by yourself, and you can sit there and you can go, I get it now.
Because I think what I'm interested in, obviously other people would be interested in, is that we get in there. There's obviously it's your daughter? Is it you're married into a situation where there's a young girl already there, and you're in a scenario where there's a very controlling atmosphere. You don't know exactly what's going on, but the father-in-law seems to want to be at the center of every decision being made. Now, your ex-wife, did you feel that she was just completely powerless in this, or was she participating in it, or was she kind of like what was going on for her exactly?
I think she was just scared.
Right. Scared of him.
Scared of him, but also scared because I'd say she was money orientated.
Right.
So she follows her mother very much on that.
There's a sense of power and control you can have, which you can control money.
Yeah.
And feel like you've got power.
And that was the thing, I think, for him, is he had to be in control of you financially.
Right.
So, it's, that's my money you're spending. Well, I'm earning it, so it's my money, isn't it?
Right.
Those sort of things. But she was always worried about inheritance and things like that, because he's not a poor man.
Yeah.
Financially, he's not a poor man.
And there's people who are rich and have a sense of, you can throw that weight around a bit.
Yeah.
That can be controlling individuals.
Yeah. I mean, I've got to say, and the man's a penis. But, I wish him much agony and pain in his life.
Okay.
It's his fault this has happened. I have absolutely no doubt about that.
I mean, the burning question is that, you're obviously in a brand new relationship and happy and you're both wonderful and but you went through an entire journey before you got to here. So what we're here for is to understand what happened to get from being in that marriage to where were you staying? At Her Majesty's pleasure?
I wouldn't pick many. They're Chelmsford, Belmarsh, Isle of Wight. 2 stops off at 2 prisons in London, which was Wandsworth and the other one that begins with a W. In Norfolk, Warren Hill,
and you're obviously you're in prison, which we get to how you got there, and how long were you in prison for, or prisons for?
In total, 12 years.
12 years.
Yeah.
12 years you were falsely imprisoned.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, part of me feels kind of lucky because people like Victor Neelan and Andy Malcolmson did 18 years. When they were falsely accused, falsely convicted, when evidence proves that it was somebody completely different for them. And it's just like, why is this country still allowing it to happen?
Yeah.
That's the bit for me. Why are these politicians so ignorant to it? They know it's happening, but they daren't change it because they might lose their job.
Yeah.
Because they're being seen to be soft on crime. No, you put them right or wrong. And that's what they need to do.
Yeah. There's clearly something wrong with the justice system in this country.
Oh, yeah, it's only geared up to convict. It's not interested in truth, honesty, fact or anything. It's just, we convict that person. Yes, let's do it.
Yeah. And, one of the statutes is that you're innocent until proven guilty, but that didn't stand for you. I
don't think it stands for anybody. I think it's your guilt and you've got to prove your innocence.
Yeah.
But they'll do everything in their power to stop you proving it.
What would you say is the reason why we're here in terms of I grew up thinking that you go to court, that's the place that they protect you, that you are innocent until proven guilty. You are your innocence before a court of law is sacrosanct until you are proved to have done something that you should have done.
Yeah, that's how it should be.
So how do you think we got there as a country, from your point of view? Because you've really been through it.
I've got to be careful now. I would suggest
you're not obliged to say anything that you don't want to say.
I've watched the TV programs, you Question Times and stuff, and you sit there and there's a one on about sex offences and so on and so forth. And there was a lovely lady on there, tattoos, very short hair, zillion earring studs and stuff. I worked for Rape Crisis UK. 50,000 allegations. We didn't have 50,000 convictions. There's something wrong with the system. They're the people that are in charge.
Yeah, they're the ones.
They're the ones that the government go, oh, you're right.
Yeah.
So what can we do to make it better for you?
And they're ploughing funding upon funding upon funding towards them.
There's nothing about, hang on a minute.
Yeah.
If we change that, innocent people might end up in prison. They don't think like that. They just go, oh yeah, we'll make it easier to convict people now. You know, there's cases you see where evidence was put before the court that the lady concerned was a little bit easy. Now you're not allowed to bring that into court.
No, it's a case of anything that what they do is they don't look at the victim. They don't look at victims' behaviour or victims.
No.
Well, no, what's it? So was it they ignore the evidence of those being accused so that more victims can come forward. That's right, isn't it? Is that right?
What they do, and I mean, I've only read this in sort of reports from other support groups like Safari and people like that. The police will tell an accuser, delete your Facebook.
Right.
You know, delete your tweets, delete this, delete that. Because in there, they'll be, oh yeah, I went out on the pool last night and I bought this trailer and did blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden, because he doesn't want to know about rape, and she'll go to the police, or, you know, boyfriend finds out that she slept with someone else and it's rape and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So they tell them to delete all this stuff. So the defence can't say, well, hang on a minute. There's the evidence that says she was all up for it. She was all over like a bad rash.
Yeah.
That no longer exists.
They don't look at that evidence.
Because the police, the people that we believe go out and investigate and look for both sides of the story, if you like. You know, they look for, could it have happened? Could it not have happened? They ignore this could not have happened because if we hide all of that, put it in a non-disclosure file, or don't even bother looking for it, nobody can use it, and we can convict this person, and we look good in the eyes of the public because we're putting dangerous sex offenders away.
Because it's all about numbers, isn't it?
It's all about just making the public think that the government are doing something right, rather than the police are doing their jobs, which they're not.
Yeah,
they're not doing their jobs. You put them in a field and ask them to find the gate, they won't find it.
Yeah, it's because the police. I mean, it's the police. That word is policy. Isn't it? They are there on the basis of policy, and the policies change. And the policy is at the moment is not to arrest criminals or to look at evidence in order to come to a conclusion about who is guilty or innocent, but it's simply about following a particular political agenda.
Yeah,
and that's why they are the policy police, aren't they?
Yeah.
So, so you've been falsely accused.
Yeah.
So let's go back and let's discuss.
Excuse me.
How you got there. How were you arrested? Everything from the point of the incident, and then what followed on after that, and then obviously your experience in prison.
Yeah. In January 2010, as I said earlier, in-laws were constantly at each other's throats, blah, blah, blah. My ex-wife said, oh, do you think you might be able to get a job in Canada with land over again? At which I went, I can ask. You know, there's always a possibility. We spoke a few more times about that. Then, miraculously, 23rd of February, I was arrested.
23rd of February, what year?
2010.
2010, you were
I was arrested at work.
At what?
5:25 in the evening.
Why did you think you were being arrested?
Well, I was sat there doing invoices.
Yep.
3 police officers and a dog unit came bursting through the door.
A dog unit. Look.
Oh, yeah, because I'm a highly dangerous person,
Right.
as you can see.
Wow.
They stood there, one of them, PC Dangerfield.
Dangerfield.
Yeah, man is a cock.
Right.
An absolute cock, and you can leave that in.
Yeah, I'll leave that in.
He stood there with his arms folded with his stab-proof vest, making threats that if I didn't calm down, he was going to gas me and he'd bend me up.
So you were irate.
I was like, what the fuck?
Right, yeah.
You know, we're here to arrest you for rape. What the fuck?
Sorry, you skipped over there. You were arrested for what exactly?
They were arresting me for rape.
For rape?
Yeah.
For rape of who?
They didn't tell me that part.
Right. So
They just said, we're here to arrest you for rape. I was like,
so what's going on in your mind?
who? When?
No information was provided to you.
Yeah.
What evidence did they say that they had against you?
No, they didn't.
Right.
They didn't. You get handcuffed. The silly thing about it was the dog unit guy I'd met 2 weeks before because somebody had cut the phone lines at the back of the business, which set my alarm off.
Right.
And I'd met him, and he was like talking to this Danish saying, "What are you on? What are you up to?" He's upset because we're here. Show a bit of respect, and he was like, "Oh, I don't have to." Fucking nonce.
Right.
And this is a police officer.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, if the man was on,
So as far as he was concerned, he was guilty anyway.
No, he was just trying to flex his puny little chesty muscles.
Right.
Wanting to be a big man in a big story.
Right.
You know.
So they take you. Where did they take?
They took me to Southend Police Station.
Where were you living at the time, actually?
In Southend.
In Southend. Right.
So
they take you to the police station.
and I was held there for 2 days before I was interviewed.
You were there for 2 days before you were interviewed.
Yeah.
So tell us about those 2 days then.
Shoved in a police cell with a blanket and one of their inch-thick mattresses.
Very uncomfortable.
Incredibly uncomfortable, incredibly cold.
Yeah.
And they put an officer on a chair, sat at the door, watching everything I did.
Right. And what information were you provided with at that time?
None.
None at all.
None whatsoever.
So you're in a police cell for 48 hours.
Yeah.
And you had some information that you're being accused of rape.
Yeah.
But what's going through your mind?
What the hell's going on?
Yeah.
You know, why can I not speak to anybody? You know, we've got you a solicitor.
Yeah.
It's a duty solicitor from a company that I've subsequently found out do an awful lot of work with the police as duty solicitors, but will gladly give up on all the difficult cases so the police win them as long as they can clear up all the little sort of shoplifter ones and things like that, where they get paid the same money as the big case, but it means that they get a good turnover and it makes their numbers look good. That, oh, look, we've protected all these people.
Just numbers, isn't it? It's just purely numbers.
Yeah.
It's about what looks good
Yeah.
for votes.
It's
It's
not
for
about
votes, isn't it?
It's not about
Ultimately.
honesty.
Yeah. It's clearly about...
There's no integrity.
No.
There are a few people within our solicitors and barristers which I think have got integrity.
Far and few between, possibly.
They are far and few between, but they've got integrity because you pay them.
Money pays, right?
I think when you're trusted legal aid,
Yeah.
you're probably better off doing it yourself because you probably do a better job.
Yeah. Yeah. Representing yourself,
Yeah.
most likely, yeah.
Yeah.
So you've been in the cell for 2 days, and then they open up the cell box, and then what happens there?
I was taken for interview.
Tell us about that interview.
It was 2 women.
2 women?
2 women.
Why 2 women?
I guess it's because they can be vicious, vile, and narcissistic.
Yeah, respect. No. I totally agree. No,
Their attitude.
we don't support sexism. No, we don't.
Their attitude towards me was one of don't care what you say.
Disdain.
Yeah.
Do you feel that they had any desire to hear your side of the story?
Absolutely none.
So walk us through it. What were they saying to you? What was going through your mind?
At this time, my ex-wife and I had a child of our own.
Yeah.
Well, I say of our own. I'm not sure he's mine, to be honest, but
I'm sorry.
that's a different story.
Yeah. Okay. So how old is that child?
He would be 18 now, something like that.
Right.
So at the time, he was only sort of 4,
Right.
5-ish,
Yeah.
maybe. They would ask things like, "Oh, there's a photo of your son in the bath. Do you masturbate over that photograph?"
So why would they be asking you questions like that then?
To provoke a reaction.
And what did they do?
Told them to fuck off.
Right.
I told them they were sick individuals.
Yeah.
Who were clearly paedophilic in their own mindset.
Yeah.
That they should fuck off away from them.
Absolutely.
We don't have to. We can ask what we like.
Did you have any representation for yourself?
Yeah, the solicitor was sat there and I said to her, "Can they ask these questions?" That's bang out of order. They can ask what they like.
What do you mean they can ask what they like?
Well, apparently because they're the police, they can ask what they like. So they can...
I'm struggling to understand how that has got anything to do with what they have accused you of.
I think they were trying to fish, shall we say.
Right. What evidence did they have on you? What corroborating evidence?
We live in the same house, I guess.
So was there? Who made an allegation against you exactly?
It was my stepdaughter.
She made an allegation to whom?
Well, apparently she told her mum first.
Right.
On the Monday night. I then got home from work at 10 o'clock. I had dinner cooked for me. I had a bath run for me. We slept in the same bed, and then I get arrested the following day. And it's just like, it don't quite add up. If your daughter tells you all those things, you don't wait 24 hours to get someone arrested. You phone up there and then, don't you?
Yeah, exactly.
I think what's probably happened at that point is she's gone talking shit. Because it's a bungalow. We live in a bungalow. You know? And you think to yourself, if I've done all these things at home, mum's no more than like 10 foot away.
Wow.
Right? You think she might have noticed.
Exactly.
He'd take me to the rugby club. Still waiting for anybody at my rugby club to be interviewed.
Wow.
Because she was never there. The same with the workshop. She was never there with me alone. And mum was there. There'd be customers there. There would be people in.
How old was she at the time?
What, the allegation? 14.
You said that somebody put her up to that allegation.
Yes, that would be my father-in-law. Because we've had the discussion between my ex-wife and I about the possibility of getting a job with Land Rover and going to Canada again, and I know she was listening.
How would he have done that, you think?
Well, it's weirdly enough, on that Monday night, she was late home from school, but she'd been picked up by a nanny and granddad.
Right.
We live 5-minute walk from school. What do you need to be picked up for?
Right.
So I think during the day, a phone call was made by a stepdaughter to grandparents. They've picked her up and they've concocted, this is how we're going to make sure this doesn't happen. They probably weren't aware that it would go quite so far initially. I don't know.
What do you think they wanted to get from it?
Me out the family. So he could still be in control. That's all this boils down to, is I was potentially just a threat to his masculinity.
Right.
I don't know. We have other issues surrounding the man, with the fact that he's best friends with what is now an ex-chief inspector of Essex Police.
Right.
And also the fact that ex-chief inspector, Judge Gratwick, and my father-in-law, we believe, are all in the same lodge.
Again?
They're all in the same lodge, so they're all Masons.
No way.
There's a very strong suspicion on that one.
Right.
Because I had a judge, and it was at Basildon Crown Court, and they changed it to this.
Things, aren't they? They're all into that.
But they changed the judge in the court.
Yeah.
And it's just like, because all fairness to the solicitor that I had Said if you're at Basildon Crown Court, you'll be acquitted. Went to Chelmsford Crown Court and got found guilty.
Right.
I gave 7. There were 7 tapes in my interview, and they've only ever transcribed 6.
Right.
The ones where they asked the questions where I actually told them to fuck off, etc. Doesn't appear.
Right. So how did they pin it on you then?
Basically, they've not done anything that I asked.
What did you ask?
And so go speak to the guys at the rugby club. And I named people.
So character references.
Yeah,
So to
yeah.
speak.
Well, not necessarily character references, just go ask that person who trains with me twice a week and plays with me every Saturday. Did you ever see this person at that place?
Right. Okay.
No. There you go. Well, she can't be there then. So how come I've done all these things at my rugby club where there's a minimum 40 people at a time? Well, no one's ever noticed. Do me a favour.
Yeah.
You know, the workshop, yes, there are other workshops around where my workshop was. I was at the dealership. Obviously, you've got all the staff there, you've got security cameras. None of it's ever been looked for. If it has, like I say, it's gone in a non-disclosure file.
So they haven't looked at any corroborating evidence information in relation to you defending yourself.
Correct.
So you've been interviewed,
Mm-hmm.
and what happened after that interview?
I was put on remand on Friday morning.
Remand means what exactly?
Sent to prison without a trial.
You were sent directly to prison without any form of trial.
Yeah, I was put on what they call remand, which is where they put you when they want to keep you out of the way so you can't do the fact-finding that they're not doing.
Defending yourself.
Yeah.
Getting people to represent you, etc., etc.
Contacting people saying, I need you to speak to the solicitor, I need this, I need that. They wouldn't do that.
Who did you get in contact with in this time? Did you contact family members?
My phone, I tried to phone my parents and the prison didn't clear my parents' phone number for 3 months. So I was basically left without any contact of anybody for 3 months.
This is shocking.
It's horrendous. Because when you do finally phone your parents, they're like, well, why have you only just phoned us now?
Well,
Because I only just had my number cleared.
how are you dealing with all of this, mate?
Badly.
Yeah.
Badly. I didn't come out of my room for 4 days.
Right. In what prison was this?
Chelmsford.
Chelmsford Prison.
The staff would come up, I'd just turn my back on them.
Right.
They would bring me food, I'd just throw it back out the door.
Right.
I'm not interested. I'll stop leaving alone.
So you would you say that you were struggling with like a form of depression at the time?
Oh, yeah. I wouldn't say that's fully gone yet either, to be honest.
Right. Traumatic.
There are moments where and we've spoken, haven't we? There are moments I'm just like, gosh,
Yeah.
Understandable.
Completely.
Yeah, of course you can.
That he's gone through, he has like separation anxiety because basically he went to work on Tuesday and never went home again for 14 years or 12 years. And it's, how would that affect a normal person? He is a very strong man.
I think so.
Incredible. But, there are limits to how much you can take, aren't there? And it's massively affects you.
To come out with a social stance like that and not be affected in some way, well, that would be, unreasonable because, I mean, even for what you told me already, I would be quaking in my boots, completely overwhelmed by it. That's how I think I would be.
Yeah.
I was arrested for something I knew I didn't do, wasn't able to defend myself, and was put into a prison. I think most people out there would find that absolutely overwhelming.
It was, but I'm not in there now.
No, you're not. So
that's the difference.
Yeah.
There were some very good people, including prison staff and some prison governors who did everything they could to try and get me through the system quickly.
Because they knew that you were innocent.
Yeah.
How would they know that you're innocent?
I can't answer that. I think they just look at you and go,
Yeah.
never know what the sun is.
So you're in prison. You're in Chelmsford prison. How long are you there for?
Trial, I was there from 25th of February 2010 to August 2011. If you're not supposed to be there, they try their hardest to help you go through with the least amount of aggravation. Internal probation, they're a little bit more follow the rules. We must do it this way, we must do it that way. You've got to do this, you've got to do that. So they might be on about programs or courses and so on. But if you don't meet the criteria, that's as far as they go. They're like, you don't meet the criteria, you're not doing it, so we'll do this for you. Okay, great. External probation, don't want anybody released from prison. They will do everything they can to stop it. We want this, we want that. You'll go in front of the parole board, then probation say, I need a report from a psychologist. Well, why didn't you do that 6 months ago? Oh, well, I've just decided, because they know it's going to give you're on 18-month knockback from the parole board.
Right.
Because the reports don't happen the next week. They have to be referred, then somebody has to agree it, and then it has to go off to the psychology department for them to decide who's going to do it.
So this feels like this is your journey in the justice system.
Yeah.
So talk to me about what happened in Chelmsford and what happened in Chelmsford, and then why were you moved? What was going on? And
I was in Chelmsford. There was a governor there who I met when I made it to Warren Hill. He was a governor there. And his first words when he saw me at Warren Hill was, why the hell are you still in?
Still in? How long had you been in at that time?
About 9 years.
No, we really skipped.
Oh, yeah. But I'm just, this guy that I met in Chelmsford.
Oh, he met you there at the beginning?
He was a governor at Chelmsford Prison.
Right.
And when I moved to Warren Hill, which is an excellence prison to get people out of prison, he was a governor there. And he saw me and he went, why the hell are you still in?
Wow.
What happened? And we had a conversation.
So he was shocked himself.
Yeah. When I because they moved me to Belmarsh Prison through transport issues.
Belmarsh, isn't that like
it is serious shithole. It's probably the worst prison I've been in. They
really send the worst of the worst there, don't
they? They do, but what they've got is the worst of the worst prison staff there as well. Because there's
no real difference between the staff and the prison.
No, they thrive on oppression.
Right.
I had a situation there one day where a fight had occurred.
Yeah.
During mealtime, so we're all queuing up to grab our food. Fight occurred. Security appeared with their dogs and all the rest of it.
Well, when you moved into Belmarsh?
That was Christmas time, 2010. Because I remember.
So you're after Chelmsford. You were in there for a period of time, and then you moved to Belmarsh.
I was in Chelmsford until December. I had a court appearance, and they were supposed to take me back to Chelmsford Prison. They took me to Belmarsh Prison
instead
because there was a couple of foreign drivers who didn't understand English very well,
and they just took you to Belmarsh.
And they took me to Belmarsh Prison, yeah. And I turned up, and even the Governor North was like, "What are you doing here?" Right.
What about paperwork?
That goes with you. So
they'll just move you anywhere they want.
Your file goes with you. So if you turn up at the wrong place, there you go. That's where you're staying for the next 3 months.
Right.
Because you're not going to get a transfer back out of there before 3 months.
So what was the difference between Chelmsford and Belmarsh in terms of your experience, in terms of being shown a new room that where you're going to be?
Belmarsh, it was 3 men in a room. Right. One toilet, one table, one chair.
Fight it out amongst you,
basically. Yeah. And 5 TV channels. That was what you got.
It
was 1 in 5.
You had propaganda, BBC One.
Yeah.
And all the rest,
and then just shit. you were locked up for pretty much 23 hours a day. That you
With each other.
Yeah.
What was it like dealing with these other individuals in Belmont? And for how long were you dealing with these?
I was only there for the 3 months because obviously my trial started in 2011. So December, January, February, and then I was back to Chelmsford for the trial. But that 3 months was horrid. Why? It really was horrid because it's the prison. The staff run on oppression.
Can you explain that?
So they will just try and belittle you all the time. If you ask for something, yeah, I'll go sort that out. They don't. They were nasty, horrible people. Probably judgmental because of the type of offence you were there for,
which wasn't proven.
No, you're there on remand.
So yeah, they just read your file and decided that's who you are.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And like I say, they treat you accordingly. So, you turn up at the prison, you are stripped. You are made to squat where they shine a torch up your bum. That's very degrading.
Yeah.
They then give you clothing that doesn't fit deliberately. Tell you
Too small or too baggy? Too small.
They tell you can't have your own clothing because you haven't been there long enough. You have to attain what they call enhanced status to have your own clothing.
What does that mean?
There's different levels of status within the prison. So you have basic, where you don't have a telly, you're in prison clothes, and basically you don't work and you sit behind your door for 25 hours a day.
Wow.
You have standard regime, where you get paid like £8 a week, and you can go to work. And if you don't work, then you're behind your door for 24 hours a day. And then you have the enhanced, where you can have, your own stereo, your own clothes, and you get paid £12 a week.
So it's all based on what then? Good behaviour?
Yeah.
You're right. So how do you get to that point then?
Well, I had been given enhanced status at Chelmsford.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to follow you.
It didn't.
It didn't for the reception staff. Mr. Osborne, he was the worst one in reception. He broke my watch. He was rude. He spat at me, all sorts of stuff. When I got onto the unit, obviously there was another prison officer there. I spoke with him because I was in a complete state. He said, "You can't go and remind that. What's the matter?" So I told him. And it was quite funny because Mr. Osborne appeared on the unit one day and he told him to get off. "You're not coming on my unit. Go away." So a prison officer told another prison officer to get lost, which I thought was wonderful. But, he, through a kindness, returned my enhanced status. So I got to have my own clothes so I could then walk around looking reasonably sensible rather than looking like you're the boss. Yeah.
I suppose in that sort of scenario, you're looking at anything that's going to be giving you a sense of your own humanity and dignity back.
Yeah.
He's come in there as a rugby player with the biggest legs in the world. So the clothes didn't fit. Yeah. They were never going to fit because he was a big man.
Yeah.
No.
That's over 30 inches around the thighs.
Were you?
Tired pro. Started as a second row, and then I had a very good coach who was ex-South African.
Oh, you're semi-pro then?
Not semi-pro, but, I don't suppose we were really far off it.
Was it rugby and beer?
It was rugby and beer, but, it was good. It was good. But we had very good coaching staff.
Yeah.
We had one coach who was best mates with Jason Leonard.
No, right.
So there were occasions where we had Jason Leonard take training sessions.
So he must have been pretty on it
then. Seeing you on the telly. But yeah, I was not a small person. I ate like a horse.
Yeah.
You know, I'd push Range Rovers up and down ramps without help.
Big guy.
You know, and you just, I think some people look at it and go, there's absolutely not a hope in hell's chance. You know, I've had people describe me as a gentlest of giants.
There are, I suppose and my first impression of you is, how on earth are you so calm?
That would be partly through my mother and grandparents' upbringing.
Because you're astonishing, really.
You know, but as I said earlier, you know, if you get angry and leery like all the others, then you'll know better.
Yeah,
that we are better people because we don't get angry and leery.
We hear that, Karen?
I've never fed angry spirit.
So you're in Belmarsh. You're on that an enhanced
regime. So you're on the same units as standard prisoners and basic prisoners. You know, you see all sorts of stuff going on. You see people stabbing people. You see people having fights. You see people trying to kill themselves.
How do you cope with that then?
Badly.
What do you mean badly?
Emotionally, because some of these people you will be talking to, and then in the morning you wipe me out. Oh, so hung himself last night. You know, come on.
Traumatizing, right?
Yeah, and the prison staff, I think they have to switch off.
Switch off their own humanity to cope with it.
Yeah. They're putting. I've got no issues with prison staff. I think they do a fucking awful job.
Who would want to do it? I've been in a load of prisons myself, in a social worker.
Yeah.
And it seems like just being in a prison is oppressive.
Oh, yeah.
Even if you're not actually, sentenced and living there, I feel like the whole environment of the prisons I went to was just oppressive in of itself.
Yeah. You've got some of the new prisons that are built, which, part of Chelmsford's new. Well, I say it's not new now, but even when I was there, it wasn't new. It's open, it's airy, it's not bright. They've still got grey paint on part of the wall with a bit of white above it and notice boards everywhere. But then you get the Victorian parts, and they still look like they're Victorian prisons, and you still feel that it's a Victorian
oppressive.
Yeah, you're there for punishment.
Yeah,
no, your punishment is being sent there. Whether you've done something wrong or not,
different matter.
It makes no difference when the punishment is being sent to prison. You're not supposed to be punished whilst you're in prison. And that's where some of the issues arise with somewhere like Belmarsh, is they will punish you whilst you're in there.
So what kind of punishments did you experience whilst in Belmarsh? Well, my ad.
There was an occasion where I phoned my brother, and my nephew answered the phone. And I was berated by the staff because a child answered the phone.
Sorry, what?
You're not allowed to talk to children. Says I've not been to trial, I've not been found guilty, I'm on remand.
Yeah.
But we say you can't talk to children.
Right. We're just taking.
What are you implying?
Yeah.
And it's all, that's the other thing. It's always
that constant sense that you are guilty regardless.
Yeah. It's a constant implication of wrongdoing. And you're speaking to him for.
What was going on with you, privately in relation to that? What was going on for you there?
Well, I spoke to my brother about that, and he went, "Well, if they want to speak to me, I'll tell him. You can speak to your nephew, your niece. You can speak to whoever bloody you like on this phone."
Yeah.
Because my brother's not an idiot. He knows the situation. Again, that's somebody else who's never been interviewed. None of my family have ever been interviewed over this.
They've never said, what's he like around women?
They've not even been asked, have you ever seen anything untoward?
Right.
Have you ever seen him punish her? Have you ever seen him smack? Nothing. They've been asked nothing.
No behaviour that would even indicate.
No.
Yeah.
Like, And of course, from that, there's also no corroborating evidence from my part of my father-in-law's impact, because obviously we would both speak to my parents, my sister, my brother about what they're up to with regards to our life, including the behaviours of the stepdaughter. But no one's ever been interviewed to find out if what I'm saying is true.
Right. Oh, right.
So
Yeah. So what about your stepdaughter? She no one questioned her at all.
What they did was they interviewed her 4 times in total.
She was 14 at that time. She was 14. Been very kind of careful about that.
Yeah. I mean, there are parts in her interview which you can see she's being coached. She's been told what to say.
Oh, not so careful at all then.
Oh, no. She couldn't say the word cinema, but managed to use the word paedophile.
Sorry, so explain that to me.
She wasn't able to say the word cinema.
Well, as not being able to, not in her vocabulary.
It was smizma.
Eh?
Yeah, she's thick. But after a 15-minute break in her police interview, she managed to use the word paedophile.
Right, so they kind of
2 minutes.
They kind of gave her that terminology.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. But what made me chuckle was that, and I've spoken with our man about this when we had our interview with him, that it was they have their ABEs on DVDs. So that achieve best evidence. That's
achieved
an
best
accuser's statement. And
achieved best evidence.
Yeah.
Right, okay. And that really just means that the accuser, that their best possible evidence to suggest that somebody else has done something towards them.
And it's all videoed.
So and coached.
Because, and I've raised this question that no one's ever answered it, and like I say, hopefully our man will get some kind of resolve for this. The disc comes to an end, and they said, "Oh, the disc is coming to an end. We need to change it. We'll be back in the room in 2 minutes. Don't go anywhere." Like, because she can just get up and walk out, I guess. 15 minutes later, they all come back in the room. She's holding a bottle of water. They sit down, they go through the truths and lies bit, then says, "We haven't spoken about any of this, have we, outside of this room?" "Oh, no, we only went into detail. That'll be on the disc." They cut her off at the word detail.
Wow.
And it's like, well, what have you gone into detail for then? What have you spoken about outside this room?
Yeah.
And that is where I can prove they coached her.
To say what?
To say what they wanted her to say. Yeah, I mean, she was
paid. She was paid.
If you refuse to turn up at court as an accuser, the police will offer to pay you £1,000 just to turn up to give your evidence.
No way.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
They're actually paying people to accuse people, essentially.
Yeah. And that they have a Essex police are known to have a menu pricing list. It sounds weird.
Pricing list.
If you say he did this,
accuse prices. If you accuse of this level, you would get this much.
What they do is, if you say he stuck his finger in your bottom, you'll get £4,000. If you say he did this, you'll get 70,000.
Sorry, is that an actual thing?
Yeah, I'm not the only person to have mentioned this.
Where's this information then?
It's actually on Twitter.
So there is something that literally says these words, and with that amount of money next to it.
Yeah.
How are they doing that?
Because they deny all knowledge of it, and the people asking questions. Oh, okay. Because the police don't lie.
Wow.
There's an acronym for the word police.
Shocking.
Police stands for Paid Official Lie in Court Evidence.
Paid official lie in court evidence. Paid official lie in court evidence. The police. The policy police.
That's all they do. They lie for their own benefit. It's not
They're not there. As far as I'm concerned, they're not there to to solve crime. They're there to produce revenue.
Yeah. This is now a business.
It's a business model, isn't it?
It's not about doing the right thing. It's not about protecting.
Everything's lined up in terms of the judicial system and everything. CMS, family court, all of that stuff. It's all lined up for money.
Yeah,
it's got nothing to do with justice anymore. And the more people understand, people don't understand this unless they're actually in it, unless they've actually experienced something like this. They don't. They just think, no. We live in a country that has, really advanced legal processes that are, well beaten, as Boris Johnson might say. But actually, it's not the truth at all, is it?
No. What happened was this country gave the world a justice system, then went and fucked its own.
Yeah. Playing politely.
Yeah. I when I get frustrated, I swear I do apologise.
Oh, there's no problem. I'll just beat it out. We don't swear ourselves, publicly.
No. We can't say that. It's so disappointing that the politicians and the policy makers are just so blind. And then you get likes of Nick Evans, who was an MP who was falsely accused, stands there, acquitted, raises his fist. I'm going to stand up and support all other people falsely accused. Never had a peep out of the man since.
Why do you think that is, though?
Because all the other people in his field have gone, you can't speak up. You do that, it's just going to burn the system, isn't it? You've got what you wanted. You've not been found guilty. We'll find you a nice little job somewhere out there quietly. You can carry on earning your money, and we'll just carry on screwing other people's lives up. Because as soon as people in the general public realise just how warped our justice system has become, it would probably cause chaos.
People would go to prison. You think people would go to prison?
I think people would go to prison because they'd be rebelling and fighting to get things put right. And it would just explode, like these riots when someone gets shot in America and there's riots. It's because they're trying to put something wrong right. Yeah. And it will happen here.
And I would say that it's chaos and people, rioting and all that kind of stuff. But in order to change something like an established system like the justice system, how do you change it without some form of?
The first protocol is to stop people from being politicians, because they're still in the Victorian era.
Yeah.
They still believe that women wear dresses down to their ankles and don't show an ankle, and if they do, hussy. That's the sort of people we're dealing with. You're Jacob Reed-Rob and people who haven't got a clue what it's like in the real world.
No, he's a spider, that man. It's an absolute spider.
And they're the people making the decisions about what we do at normal.
I know the people like Jacob Rees-Mogg want everybody back in the Victorian period.
Exactly.
But there's a real differentiation between the classes.
And that's the issue. The justice system is still based very much on the Victorian era.
Very much so, yeah.
We've still got laws from back then.
Yeah.
What reference has that got to do with today?
Well, actually, we're in a period of time now where if you look at certain sectors that, one of the sacraments, from the Magna Carta is that, and also the European Convention of Human Rights, is that you're able to defend yourself.
Yeah.
And now we're in a position in legal terms where people cannot defend themselves.
Right.
I mean, as an aside, in the child maintenance system, they cannot defend themselves. That's against all natural law.
Yeah.
So we're in a position where actually, we used to look back on the Victorians and go, they were archaic. The judicial system and those in power really oppressed people. But we're seemingly back there.
because of who's the politicians, what school did they go to, and it's like get somebody out from council-run schools, get them into politics.
That's what we need. We need to have a plethora of people from all different walks and backgrounds.
Yes, it's
people from Essex. Yeah, well, we knew it. Yeah. Well, mate.
okay.
So you're in Belmarsh.
Yeah,
and clearly that was a traumatic period of time for you.
Yeah, it was.
But you've spoken about being in at least 5 other prisons.
Yeah, that's only they're different grades of prison. So Chelmsford is what they call a holding prison. So it's classed as a BCAP. It's a holding prison. So
And it's hold you there whilst they're deciding about where you
yeah, there are some people that will do short sentences there. So I think it's nothing more than about 4 or 5 years in total.
short sentence.
So short sentence people that are in those places.
Wow.
You'll then get what they call training prisons, which are BCAT prisons, CCAT prisons,
Right.
which is like the Isle of Wight. Or
You've been there as well.
yeah.
Got a nice view.
Weirdly enough, I could from my room see the top of the Spinnaker.
Oh, right. Well, that's
And occasionally, when you got them really massive cruise ships going, you could see them over the top of the hill as well.
there was some raisin smoke.
And there's a festival that's not too far from the prison, so you can listen to the music if you wanted to.
Well, that's that.
And if they had the Red Arrows, you could watch them.
So there were some.
So yeah, that was about it. That was about the joy.
How long were you in the Isle of Wight for?
From August 12 to October 17.
Quite some time then.
Yeah.
12, 10, 12, 15, 16, 5 years in the Isle of Wight.
Yeah, thereabouts.
What was your experience like there? Was it a better experience or was it just the same
No, mainly enough.
oppression?
I got there. They have an induction wing, which is A wing, and then you spend a little bit of time on there, and eventually they find you a room on one of the other wings. It's all single rooms there, apart from on what they call ENF wing, which had married quarters, which is where you had two people in a room, and
Both arrested and imprisoned in the same prison.
No. When we say married quarters, it's generally where the people that are in relationships with each other would be housed. So they could do what they want to do without disturbing others. It was an experience in the fact that you had no toilet in your room. So you had a bucket.
Right.
And you only had a kettle to start with.
That's quite dehumanising as well.
Because apparently the electrics wouldn't take a kettle. And the excuse was the electrics are so bad in this prison, if football's on and at half-time everybody puts a kettle on, it'll blow the electrics. When they did a test, it didn't. So we was all had kettles, which meant you could actually sort of cook your own food in your room as well when you wanted to.
Have a cup of tea.
Have a cup of tea,
Something a little bit relaxed around a cup of tea.
Not prison tea. Don't drink prison tea bags.
Right.
If you've ever had Asda's Red Label, they are dog.
Yeah.
Prison tea bags are worse.
Really?
Yeah.
So where do they get their tea bags from?
The sweepings on the floor or something, I don't know.
Right. They've already been run out 50, 60 times.
Oh, they are the worst thing.
Dried out.
Since sliced bread, seriously.
Wheat tea.
This week.
Right.
This week. They're horrible things. And the coffee's no better, to be honest.
So what was your day-to-day routine then in the Isle of Wight then?
Well,
And did you have like any counselling or any type of like support there?
not so much counselling as such. There was a few prison staff that were very, very good.
So you had some friends there then?
Yeah, what happened was my friend Bobby from FASO did a report about me and about my situation.
A report?
Yeah, which he started sending off to lords and ladies,
Right.
to try and get something moving.
Yep.
And
What kind of report was that then?
it was a report from the eyes of FASO,
Remind me about FASO.
False Allegation Support Organisation.
False Allegation Support organisation.
Yeah.
It's
So
fascinating.
so they came in. We'd met several times. We'd spoken about the whole situation, what had gone on, what hadn't gone on, so on and so forth. And he went away, wrote a report, which he then, like I say, he sent off to the lords and ladies that would listen.
Yep.
Some did listen. Some
Who did listen?
Lord Ramsbotham,
I've heard that name.
Lady Hale, Lord Campbell Savers, and there was another one. Camilla was involved, but
Jackson.
no, Queen Consort.
Oh, Camilla.
Yeah, he's met her.
Well, well done for all those that did actually pay attention.
She had a copy of my report and asked to see him.
Really?
But nothing came of it, I guess, because if they get involved, it doesn't look good, does it? Because you're supporting a rapist.
She's very about women's issues, isn't she? Now?
She is, but she's also patron of the Prisoners Reform Trust, I believe.
Right, which means what exactly?
Well, she's supportive of it. Lord Ramsbotham's also.
They put their name to it.
They put their name to it. I get that. But, they must be surely interested in
Some form
what's
of
going on and some kind of
humanitarian
resolve to issues.
Yeah.
But
I must be aware that it's an epidemic of false allegations.
Absolutely.
False imprisonment.
Just to sort of throw a little bit out there, I do have the newspaper article. I need to find it. You have the CPS saying that there are minute amount of false allegations within the criminal justice system surrounding rape allegations and so on. Yet the newspaper article I have is about the Jimmy Savile case, where the police admit that over 450 allegations were false.
450 allegations against him.
Yeah, were false.
I can't even look at that. There are documentaries and all. I can't even see any of that.
I know, but if you look at it, there's 450 allegations that the police and CPS accept false against Jimmy Savile, but there's never a false allegation. So what is it? There is or there isn't a false allegation?
I reckon that it's the more that that can of worms gets opened up. There's loads of people that will be taken down.
Of course,
yeah,
but it means that they're false.
Oh, absolutely false.
And that's what I'm trying to get across is we keep getting told. They have them on their TV program at 7 o'clock in the evening so everybody can see it.
Oh, sorry, yes.
False
sorry, yes. They're not, those ones are not false. Yeah.
So Jimmy Savile's, whatever happened,
whether he did or he didn't.
To the people that had something happen to them, it's awful and we feel for them, but there's 450 the police have said are completely made up because they jumped on the back of this. So...
Yeah, mate.
And in the other side, they're saying, "Oh, we don't have any false allegations."
They're false here, but they're real there.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's one of those things where you're just like, well, tell us the truth. Are there false allegations or aren't there? If there are,
if it's convenient, then it's inconsistent, isn't it? Yeah. It's convenient because we need to protect Jimmy Savile. He's dead, so we're protecting those other people connected to him as well.
Of course. But all I was trying to get across there is the fact that we have a system that denies false allegations occur.
Yes.
But then admit to the media of at least 450 against one man.
Exactly.
Well,
it's hugely inconsistent.
Tell us what it is. There are or there aren't false allegations. Yeah. If there are, admit to them and do something about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Instead of just go, oh, they're so rare, it doesn't matter. All right, it does matter to Andy Malkinson. It does matter to Victor Neelan. It matters to me. And it matters to all the other people I've met who have had false allegations and have been cleared.
It's disingenuous, isn't it?
It's disgusting.
Yeah.
And these people that turn and say there's no such thing as a false allegation, get your head out your ass.
Yeah.
Seriously. Or stop doing the job you're doing and go and do something else like stack shelves in Tesco's. Because seriously, you're in the wrong job. If you're that ignorant to refuse and accept these things happen, you can't do that job. I'm sorry.
Right.
You've got to. These people want those accused to have empathy but they have none of their own. If you've got no empathy, don't do the job. You're in a job where you have to have empathy.
Absolutely.
So if you have none, fuck off. And I'll say that to any one of them to their face.
Yeah, you
I
should.
really don't care.
You should. And actually, I think you've kind of earned the right to.
Yeah. Andy Malkinson told the Greater Manchester Police Commissioner, don't bother apologising, it's not worth it.
I don't
My wife feels so sorry for you. No, you don't.
I don't think you owe anybody an apology. I think that the system left from the unit.
There are some people that owe me an apology. I told my probation officer she will be writing me one. And she told me that she'd have to apologise for anything. So I told her I'll see her in court. Because I'm making the judge make her write an apology. Because...
You still have probation officer?
Yeah.
How long have you been out?
2 years this November the 2nd.
So, how long will you have one for?
A minimum 5 years.
So even now it's...
And I've got a horrible one.
Do you have to be at a certain place at the same time then?
Yeah.
You got to be in...
No, I have to go and see them at their office. But what makes you laugh is I'm that dangerous a person. I haven't seen them for the last 2 months. I've had a phone call. And now I've got to go and see her on the 1st of November at the office at 6 o'clock.
So why is she so... Man, why is she so bad to you? What's going on?
Yeah, she's using an inbuilt conscious and unconscious bias.
Oh, that's nonsense, isn't it? It's absolute nonsense. I don't buy into any of that stuff.
No, she is.
No, I don't buy into unconscious bias and all that stuff. Okay. Oh, you're saying that she's biased towards you unconsciously?
Yeah.
No, she's consciously biased.
Oh, that as well.
She's
But she won't admit it. She won't identify.
And that's not because she's unconsciously biased. It's just because she's blatantly biased.
Yeah.
And that's reprehensible.
You know, we want to go away for a weekend. Other probation officers have done it within a week, approved it.
Yeah.
She wants a month.
So why do you think that she just against men, or is it because of the nature of the allegation?
Both.
Right.
And also the fact that I challenge everything she says. I have every right to.
Yeah.
So if she says, "Oh, I want you to do it," why?
If there's no corroborating evidence, you've never been properly convicted, have you?
No.
Of this actual...
No. There's no evidence to support it whatsoever.
So why did it take 12 years to get you out?
Because I maintain my innocence. And this is another failure of our parole board. We had a gentleman that was head of the parole board called Nick Hardwick.
Right.
He was making beneficial changes where the parole board had to prove you were a danger. You didn't have to prove you weren't a danger. Then the
burden of proof was on you.
Originally, yes. He changed it that the burden of proof had to be from the parole board's point of view that you were still a danger.
Right.
If everybody's supporting release, then that proves that you're not. Therefore, you can go.
Yeah.
There was a manufactured release of war boys from a BCAT prison with no courses, blah, blah, blah. Dick Hardwick gets moved out of position, and then it goes back to the old way of you've got to prove you're not a danger.
So that's just to do with policy. People,
that's, again...
depending on who's in that position, changes that policy.
Yeah.
It's either going to be in your favour,
yeah,
or it's not going to be in your favour.
So in 2017, I had what they call a pre-tariff SIFT, which is an early...
Right.
It's supposed to be done 3 years before your tariff expires. Mine was only done 18 months because
tariff,
the minimum term you must serve in prison when you're on an IPP.
Right.
So mine was...
IPP is what?
Indeterminate sentence for the protection of the public.
Indeterminate.
It's banned. It's been banned. It's been deemed unlawful and inhumane.
So they can just detain you for however long they want.
Yeah.
And that's called an IPP.
IPP, yeah.
Indeterminate what?
It's an ISPP or IPP.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Indeterminate imprisonment for protection of the public.
Right.
You've got people that have done 10, 15 years for burglary.
Wow.
You know, their tariff might have been 2.
Wow. And is that still in operation then?
People are still suffering the benefits of that, even though in 2013 the prison sentence was scrapped.
When we got it,
They won't retrospectively change it.
Right.
And there are campaigns to get it retrospectively changed.
Yeah.
Because, like I say, there are people in prison, a shoplifter's done 9 years. His tariff was 18 months.
It's like these things that you hear in other countries, isn't it?
Yeah.
Where in other countries, they're imprisoning people for petty theft for like decades. And they say, well, that doesn't happen over here.
Well,
that is the UK.
That's the problem. There are, I can't remember the exact numbers, but I think there was over 6,000 IPPs handed out.
Really?
When I go to bed tonight, I've got 99 years left again. And that happens every night. So unlike somebody with a life sentence, just say gets 40 years, at 40 years age might be able to go home.
Yeah.
But that's the end of it.
Yeah.
With a license period.
Yeah.
No, I've got 99 years. Every single night. And I got the ITP because I maintained my innocence.
So basically you go to bed every night saying that I could be here the rest of my life.
Yeah.
So what was going on? I'm curious to know how are you you're innocent. You can't prove that you're innocent. You're in prison because they're saying that you did it.
Yeah.
You're being mistreated and dehumanized, and you're facing being in prison indefinitely. What's going on up here?
I'm not going to let you bastards beat me.
Right. So how does that manifest?
I am so stubborn, it's unreal.
So how does that manifest?
How does it manifest?
Are you fighting people? What's going on? I'll be throwing chairs, I'll be going crazy. Come on, I'll be skinheads, I'll be doing tattoos, I'll be going crazy. What did you do?
In prison, I learned. I started finding out information. I started speaking to the right people, including prison staff who would go, you need this bit of paperwork, mate. And they give you stuff that you're not supposed to have. So when
what were they giving you?
One officer gave me the criteria for one of the assessments that the probation use. So when I went to my next probation meeting, I could sit there and go, hold up a minute, the criteria says, and open it in front of them. And they're like, where'd you get that from? Doesn't matter.
Because knowledge is power, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't fight people, there's no point.
Yeah.
As I said, as soon as you're down to that level, you know better.
Yeah.
But if you've got the information, suddenly you're better.
Yeah.
Because the people that are doing all these report writings, these people that are making all these personal assessments on you, aren't following their own guidelines.
Well, we're seeing that consistently across the board. Across government services.
Yeah.
That's across the board.
Absolutely. And that's the issue, this is the criteria you must use for this assessment. Okay. I personally think, well, hold up a minute, I don't put opinion in that report. Oh, but it's my opinion. Doesn't make it factually correct.
Mm.
And that's the issue. And that's the standpoint I went from of, don't put opinion in a report. Put a fact in there. Yes, I was found guilty. That's the only fact you got. Other than that.
So they're basically making assumptions upon that false assumption. Yeah. And they're determining what action should be made against you whilst in prison.
Yeah.
And beyond. And still there.
Yeah.
So what decisions are being made about you now that are based upon that false assertion that you're guilty?
That I have to do a course.
What course do you need?
Called Horizons.
Horizon?
Yeah.
What's Horizon?
It's taken over from the old sex offenders treatment program, which was proven not to work.
Right.
It was a course that was developed by a Canadian gentleman who actually turned out to be the worst paedophile in Canada.
Isn't that ironic?
Yeah. And our British justice system used it for over 20 years, saying it's still in the test period.
Wow.
Only to admit that, yes, it doesn't work, and we're now going to change it. So they've taken out the sex part of the course, and it's all about your attitudes and your thinking processes and so on and so forth, and how to break you down and rebuild you into the person that we want you to be. Yeah, I'm not a robot. Fuck off.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the other avenue I go at, is I'm an individual. Treat me like one.
How did you get them to treat, or did you not get them to treat you? You're clearly not a robot.
No, in the prison,
protect your individuality.
Yeah.
That's where you've got a limited amount of autonomy. So how are you asserting your sense of identity in that system?
in the prison system, I think it was just carry on being me, have a laugh and a joke, be serious when I need to be serious, and, you know, just get on and make the best of a bad situation in the hope that you're relying on these solicitors that you contact to do their job.
Were they?
They couldn't, because Essex Police won't ever release any paperwork.
Because that would incriminate them, right?
Absolutely. You know, and I've got a voice message on my WhatsApp from our man. It was October last year, but he turned around and says, "I've had a reply from Essex Police. They have no record of you."
That's a slap in it.
Hang on a minute. What do you mean you've got no record of me? If they've got no record, how the hell did they take me to court?
Exactly.
And he's saying they've done this because
of what?
if they give us the information we're asking for, it proves they've not done their job.
Yeah. And then they are liable.
Oh, yeah.
And then you can sue them, right?
Oh, I will. And to be honest, it's not about the money.
No, this is about justice.
My view is, I want those people that did this to me to go to prison for exactly the same amount of days I did,
Yeah.
with exactly the same restrictions.
Sure.
That means that Detective Constable Melanie Burton Kirby doesn't get to see her child for 12 years. I don't give a shit.
I don't believe that you're an individual stitching out for vengeance, because there's no point of you. Yeah, like Nelson Mandela. Yeah,
It's a little bit of vengeance.
well, yeah, I mean, that'd be human. I imagine that you're really doing this because you understand that justice is important, and justice needs to be seen to be done.
I don't.
Otherwise, you create a corrupt society.
I don't want this to happen to other people.
Exactly.
I want the people that did this to lose their jobs,
Too right.
without a shadow of a doubt, because they clearly are not fit for that job.
Yeah.
I want whoever goes into that job
To be properly trained
to be properly trained and open-minded.
and have empathy.
Yeah.
And not just look at people who are accusing.
Yeah. You know, look at both sides of it. Do your bloody job. That's what you're paid for.
Yeah.
That's like me being paid to do my job, but turning up and going, yeah, service that. I'm walking off. Not even touched a thing. That's not doing your job, is it? You know, if your job is I'm a police officer, I'm a detective, I must investigate both avenues, I'm going to ignore that one because that's going to prove this person didn't do anything.
First, I'm going to change until they change the policy upon, because it's coming from the Istanbul Convention, isn't it? This whole idea of a completely biased look at the accused. The accuser is considered to be right, and the accused, they're just systemically not looking at that evidence, and that's a policy.
Yeah.
That's a policy.
Even if you want to go as simple as how obvious does it need to be? It always happened upstairs in the bathroom. I live in a bungalow.
I mean, that's ridiculous, isn't that?
Can you please show me photographs of my upstairs bathroom? I didn't know it was there. I've only lived in that house for 12 years.
Basic information, isn't it?
Yeah.
Hold on a minute. You live in a bungalow, so where's this information coming from? Anybody with a brain cell would ask that question.
And that's the issue. They can't ask a question because they're not told.
What?
I wrote a note to my barrister, Christine Agnew, who's now a judge.
Right.
Can you please let the jury know that the home we're concerned is a bungalow and there is no bathroom upstairs? They screwed it up, threw it on the floor. It didn't matter.
Didn't want to look at it.
No. Because it doesn't help the narrative of you've been accused. All they kept saying was, admit to it, you'll get less time. Oh, it's only happened.
Also, the other thing that's really unfair is that his barrister was best friends with the
Prosecuting barrister.
They were talking.
Gone out for lunch together and all.
So you're talking about collusion, really?
And solicitor.
As is because they weren't doing like he's just said, tell them there's no bloody barter upstairs, and they just ignored him. So he sacked them. They then moved the trial.
A sentencing date. Forward a week,
so that he couldn't have representation, which is illegal, and they carried on anyway because they wanted that particular judge who was best mates with father-in-law to do the sentencing. So the whole thing is completely illegal, and our man has said there is no way you should even be been in court, never mind charged, because everything is wrong.
So how were you released then?
Yeah. Yeah, I got fed up and walked out. I've had enough. I'm going home. See you later, fellas. And they're like, I had a probation officer from Essex who initially was like, no, don't support release. I think you need this. I think you need that. My internal probation officer then contacted her and said, you do realise you're looking at this in the wrong way. And they had over an hour-long conversation, and she changed her mind 180 degrees and went, I'm supporting release. Go wherever you like.
How? Why? Why?
Because I'd spent more time talking to him than her.
Right.
And he said, look, his explanation to me was, I explained to her that the way she's looking at it is from the wrong angle. She's saying, I want you to do this, I want you to do that. You don't meet these criteria for this and that and all the rest of it. So she's just going round and round a circle that's never going to end. Get you out the door, get you back on with your life. We know you're not going to offend or re-offend, as is the phrase they like to use. My argument straight away is, well, how can I re-offend when I haven't offended in the first place?
Yeah.
And they go, but you were found guilty. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the only response you were found guilty. Don't make it right. So she completely changed her view.
I don't really understand how she just changed her view though.
I think Mark, who was my internal probation officer, was a very, very clever man.
Right.
And I think he
saw that you were innocent.
He saw things that other people didn't see.
He recognised there was something else going on in terms of your...
He cannot sit there. No prison, they call them offender supervisors, they're an internal probation officer. None of them consider and say, I know you're innocent. They have to say, I have doubts, you were found guilty, I have to go from that. Right. That is their stock response. They know the people that shouldn't be there. He had, like I say, over an hour and a half conversation with her. He sent me a little memo, which I've got squirreled away somewhere. And it basically said, I've had a word with her. We've had a lot of conversation. She's completely changed her tune. She supported release. Fucking great. Went up in front of the parole board.
I wonder what switched the switch.
I have no idea. He's not going to tell me what he said to her.
Something must have...
Yeah.
Something significant must have happened.
Yeah.
Because they don't just change their mind on these.
But she did.
There's too much invested in
and
it.
She supported me moving to Hampshire and everything. You know, she's like,
she's an amazing individual in your life.
I'll give her a chance again. I'll give you that. If they said, "Oh, this is your probation officer," Karen, aces. When I got offered my job, you know, I phoned up, said I've been offered a job. I've got an interview in Birmingham. Okay. If you get the job, let me know. I'll authorise it there and then.
Wow.
And I walked through the door, the guy gave me the job.
That time he had some breaks.
And I phoned her up and I said, do you want to speak to him? She said, yeah, it's fine. I've just signed it off now. And I started on the Monday, so I had the interview on the Friday. I had an interview or a conversation on the Wednesday, an interview on the Friday, where I walked through the door and he went, you've got the job.
I can see how important this is.
And I started on the Monday. And it was, I've worked,
You literally come out and straight into.
I was ridiculed by the Fraud War. Okay. They said, "Oh, what are your plans?" I said, "I've got a 5-year plan." I said, "First thing is get a job." And I said, "I want a job within the first 2 weeks of getting out." But you think you'll get a job within 2 weeks? Karen sat there and went, "He's driven. He'll get a job." It took me 4 weeks.
I mean, that's a bit. It's a bit slow, isn't it, mate?
It was. It was for me. It was for me. I was.
Well, in 2 weeks, but their head office got involved.
Well, yeah.
So, do you have a criminal record?
Yeah. And that will never be expunged.
Well, let's put it on record that that criminal record is worthless, absolutely worthless.
Yes.
Put it out.
And even if, or even when we overturn this conviction, it will still be on the police national computer. They will never remove it. You can go to court will order it to be removed, and then I'll put it back on afterwards.
So, what does it mean to you to put your story out there, your side of your version, the real version? What does it mean to you both to do that?
To do this. For me, I want people to know the truth.
Yeah.
I want anybody from my rugby club that's on TikTok and sees this. I want you to understand you all failed me and you all let me down. And I hate every single one of you for what you've done. Because any one of you could have told the truth and come forward, and I wouldn't be sat here doing this interview. But you all chose to protect yourselves. You know? And I put so much in that rugby club. So much effort, so much blood. You know, injuries, and I'm still suffering now with them. There you go. My neck, sorry. You know, I also want other people to understand just how easy it is for this to happen, and to start asking questions of their own MPs and other people, and get the system changed so it doesn't happen to your father, your son, your brother, or whatever. You know, because until it does smack you in the face and it's on your own doorstep, you don't believe it happens.
Yeah.
You know, you can watch the news and go, "Oh, poor fella. Well, still, he'll get a bit of money. He'll be all right now." Don't take away the pain of what's happened. So don't let it happen to your own.
Well, what if you're able to, and not obliged to? What do you think you might be still struggling with now in relation to your experience over that 12 years? If you don't feel comfortable, and that's a bit of a probing question, so if you don't feel comfortable with it, you don't even have to answer.
There's many people that I've met that I didn't want to meet. You know, some of the worst people. People that joke and laugh about the things they've done. And just like, yeah, no, go away, please. I've seen people that have killed themselves. I've seen people that have tried to kill themselves. I've saved one guy from hanging himself. I should have had to have done those. You know, and there's not a day goes by where I don't actually think about those people. And it's not just me. There's other people that have been in prison that have suffered exactly the same things.
Yep.
And they shouldn't have to have gone through it either. You know, it's not the nicest thing to go and clean someone else's blood up.
No.
You know, it's not the nicest thing to see a guy turning blue as you're trying to hold his weight up.
Yeah.
You know, waiting for the staff to appear so they can cut him down.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I struggle with.
Yeah.
And I also struggle with the fact that there are just so many people who go, "No smoke without fire."
Yeah.
Yeah, you can have smoke without fire.
Yeah.
You know?
It's a hard
Just because, I mean, we've got a dickhead of a neighbour, haven't we? You know? He's spitting on the van, he's rude, he's antagonistic. I don't rise to it because I don't have to. but I've served a prison sentence for something that hasn't happened. Just leave me alone.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing I say to probation, just leave me alone.
Yeah.
Let me get on with my life, just leave me alone.
And you deserve it.
And they don't. I want to see your fun. Why? What are you implying there?
The sheer level of intrusion.
Then they've got my bank details, they've got this, they've got that. We have to ask permission for this and that. It's just, really? I've got rights. Oh, no, you haven't. Victim's Charter says you have no rights.
Who's the victim?
That would be me.
But you don't have a victim mentality. And I think that's really, really important here. Is that, one of the reasons why I wanted to interview this individual is because the character of you, I think, is commendable. I mean, to be able to go through something like that and still hold on to your sense of dignity, you're an example to. I'll say this. I think you're an example of how to be mistreated and have dignity, and have a sense of value of your own humanity. And that's the thing that struck me the day that I met you. Is how you can.
I kind of want to thank my mum and my granddad then, because they're the people that taught.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's because they're not British. You're not British, are they? No, they're not for Sundays. Yeah. No. As I say, we're not going to let these people win.
No.
I don't necessarily blame my accuser.
No.
I don't blame my ex-wife either. And a lot of people don't, well, why not? Because they were both put into a situation that was very difficult for them as well.
Yeah.
I blame my father-in-law, I blame my mother-in-law, and I blame the arseholes that worked with them. And they do say it's not about what you know, it's who you know. Yeah. They used every person they knew to make sure I was removed from that family. They just did it in the worst possible way.
And then, and you've shown them that despite their behaviour, you remained steadfast.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I'm probably a better person now, to be honest.
I believe so. I really do. I think,
weirdly enough,
I don't want to see anyone watching this will see that.
I'd say I'm more tolerant, which is really weird because I don't tolerate men. But yeah, it's just, I just wish these radical feminist people would stop it and stop trying to destroy mankind. Everybody's equal and everybody deserves the same equality.
Yeah.
And I'll be the first person to say that, beforehand, just be like, nah, anything else I'll do it. But I've never been that way. Part of my family makeup is Italian. So we have the matriarchal view. That also confuses the hell out of people at probation because it's not typical. Right? So accept it then. Because if it's not the norm, it must be better. I'm not the bloke that walks through the front door, cook more dinner, bird. No. Why haven't you done this? Where's that? Slap.
Sorry, Karen.
I don't do that. It's, mum's the head of the household. When Nan was here, she was the head of the household.
Karen's Italian. There's definitely a matriarchal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's the view I've got. You're in charge. As much as you don't believe it, you are.
Yeah.
And that confuses the hell out of them. So it's a problem for them.
Yeah.
Or was it a problem? That just goes to show, actually, I'm more respectful of women than you are. And you're a woman.
Yeah.
So how then can somebody so respectful of women rape a woman? Do you not grasp your logic there? And they're like, oh, yeah, but it's not the norm. There's something wrong with you. You got personality disorder. That's the other one.
It's a sexism. It's an extreme sexism to combat what they believe as sexism.
Yeah.
And reality is that men and women, we all need each other, don't we?
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
And society is built on the mutual appreciation of both genders, not on just one or the other.
Yeah. And it's like I say, these insanely radical feminist women seem to think that men should be wiped out,
Which is ridiculous.
Yeah, well, that's great. People, they're having kids, and the human race will die off.
Oddly, female rights are only there whilst men allow it.
I mean, this is true.
Because it's men that enforce rights. So without men, there are no rights. That's why men and women both need to recognize we all need each other. It's complementary, not rather than it being adversary.
Yeah.
But what's any last words from the both of you in terms of this interview?
Just if you're going to go out on a night out, get it in writing first. I think many men need to be very, very aware of how easy it is for you to end up in prison for doing nothing wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But also understand that do not rely on legal aid.
No.
If you've got to sell your house or get your family to hock the jewellery, do it. Get a private investigator. Get your own solicitors. Don't rely on legal aid solicitors, and do not rely on the police, because they are not interested in your innocence. They are interested in convicting you. That is it.
The numbers.
They are not interested.
I think that's the thing for me. As a person who's never had anything to do with the police, you're brought up to believe that they're good people and they're innocent, will always win.
Mm.
And it's so untrue. You don't realise until you have personal contact with someone that this has happened to,
Yeah.
that it becomes incredibly evident that they're not interested in innocence at all. They're just interested in getting those tallies. And all it is, it's about getting convictions. And it's really scary.
And it destroys life.
Could so easily happen. So easily happen.
To anyone.
Yeah.
It's no longer proof innocent until proven guilty.
It's guilty until proven guilty.
One of the...
not even that. It's just guilty until we say that you're not guilty. No, it's just guilty, isn't it? It's just a case of, I've accused you of something, so therefore you must be guilty.
And there's was it Tony Blair?
Yeah, Sherry Blair. Well, a woman's a barrister by trade. In, I think it was 2003 Criminal Justice Act, she made changes which removed, firstly, the statute of limitations from 7 years to... Oh, there isn't a statute of limitations anymore.
No, you could have said something 20 years ago.
Oh, I've got many stories of people I've met from, I was accused of something in 1949.
Wow.
And the person now has Alzheimer's who's accused him, and he's sent to prison because, someone's made an allegation from 70, 80 years ago. It's like, hey, that's how you just sent a man to prison to die because he's in his 90s. And the judge, I read some of the paperwork, and the judge said, I'm sending you to prison to die. I've just given you a life sentence, 4 years. Wow. Got a 4-year prison sentence. Yeah, the judge knew he was going to die in prison. How does that judge feel? But that aside, the Sherry Blair thing, She removed the statute of limitations. She also removed the proven until innocence, section 32, section 33 of the Criminal Justice Act, where the judge must, I can't remember which one of those it is, but the judge must warn a jury of putting too much weight into hearsay evidence. That has been removed. So now hearsay evidence is as good as factual black and white evidence.
I mean, that's just, that is, I mean, anyone with a mind knows that hearsay is not evidence of any form.
Well, this is the thing. I could be talking to a friend that I work with, and she says, oh, I went out and this guy did something to me. I can then go to the police and get him arrested.
Even though she's not interested.
I wasn't out on the night out, that whatever happened, he wasn't on there. I've got absolutely no evidence. I can go to the police and say, he did that to her.
We are literally in Victorian era, aren't we? It's gone so far backwards that it's...
But the other criteria for the CPS is sufficient evidence to convince a jury to convict. Sufficient evidence to convince a jury to convict. In a
hearsay evidence.
In a sexual case, the evidence required is the say-so of the accuser.
And that's enough.
That is it. They don't need physical evidence to prove guilt.
Just let that sink in how unbelievable that is.
The word is convinced.
The accuser's testimony is enough to convict. Let that sink in. Anybody out there that's never experienced anything in relation to the criminal justice system, let that sink in. The accuser's evidence is enough to convict. We all know it instinctually that justice is supposed to be blind. Evidence is supposed to matter.
That's the way we'll stand to all of that.
But that's the thing. It's for me. It's more the fact that it's to convince a jury. If you lie,
it have to be true.
If you lie enough, you've convicted someone. You know, and the prosecutor and barrister stands up. They can't possibly be telling a lie, can they? Of course not, because no one ever lies in court. Except for the police. Yeah. Except for those with the agenda of, we've got to keep convictions up to make the public feel safe. Well, that's great until it happens to you. And then how safe do you feel knowing that people have lied?
How safe do you feel knowing that the criminal justice system is now not interested in the balance of probability or truth or evidence, only in that a person can just accuse you and that will be enough? How safe do you feel then?
You don't, because you can't even walk down the road.
And your evidence that that the system is broken, it doesn't work. It's not interested in protecting society or civilians. It's only interested in numbers and keeping those in power. And, the politicians who want to give you numbers and make you feel like, there is justice out there. There is not.
And that's the thing. You've got to realise it's not about truth.
Yeah.
Justice is supposed to be truth. It's not about truth. It is purely and simply about making you feel that you're safe when you're not, because it could be you. With the next knock on your front door, might be a policeman, and he might be taking you away for 15, 20 years. You've done nothing wrong. How safe do you feel now? That woman you had the one night stand up against the bins at the back of the nightclub, it's coming back to bite you. But, there's proof you did something because you were there. But if you aren't there, it doesn't matter. They'll put you there. I have a time machine and a teleportation device because I can be in two places at the same time. Essex police have proven that. They must have done because I've gone to prison. So unless Essex Police can release my time machine or my teleportation device from their evidence locker, and you think I'm being sarcastic, I'm not. I'm being honest here.
Literally 2 places at the same time.
I can be in 2 places at the same time. If anybody from NASA's listening, give me a job. It's insane. It's so insane. It's
If you hadn't withdrawn it, you would have been would you?
mad. No.
Well, last word. I want to give you the last word in this interview. What do you want to say?
Justice is supposed to be for everybody. Give back this country justice.
Just yeah. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.